Hi, this is Shelley Kraft. We're coming to you live on SNNLive. We're at the Metals and Minerals Investment Conference, San Francisco 2013. I have with me a very recognizable figure, Mickey Fulp, the Mercenary Geologist, a writer of a newsletter, a speaker, and he's a speaker at the Metals and Minerals Conference. Welcome back to SNNLive.
Thanks a lot, Shelley. It's always my pleasure to speak with you.
It's good to have you. Okay, Mick. We're at Metals and Minerals. Things have had, it's not been a great year for the group. Are we at a bottom? If so, what happens in this bottom? What's the sign of reaching the bottom? Are we there?
It can be argued that the bottom was in June, and that would come from the Toronto's Venture Exchange Index, which is the best proxy we have for a business. The bottom of that index was in June. We saw a rise in July, and it's been flat ever since. So in this market with depreciating or down-ticking commodity prices, I think that's encouraging. How do we know it's a bottom? Well, we know it's a bottom in retrospect. Am I saying that a bottom, it won't go lower? I won't say that. Am I going to say that your favorite stock's not going to go lower? Can't say that either, but it could also go much higher right now. So the strong survive, and what we're seeing is a washout. You look at the companies here right now, and although they are down probably from half what they had a couple of years ago, the quality of companies here has improved immensely. The quality of the investor, the education of the investor, the intelligence of the average investor has increased almost exponentially, because only the people that are serious are here now to find bargains in the business.
So what you're saying is recognizing a bottom is something you do after the bottom has happened and it starts to move back up. I think that makes a lot of sense. Considering where the market is, standing alone now, not in comparison to other sectors of the market that happen to be doing well because there's still cash out there. What do you think happens next? And let's say this conversation is taking place in the fourth quarter of 2013. So let's talk beginning the first quarter of 2014 into the second quarter, which is going to be an important quarter.
The gold companies, and gold drives our business, the gold mining companies still have to write off assets, bad assets. They're liabilities really, but they're on the left side of the balance sheet. Then they get basically washed out. So they've got to write off their bad assets. They've got to get their costs under control. They've got to quit being growth companies and become value companies, which the mining industry is a value industry. Once that happens, and I might say that I don't think that's going to happen in the next 2 quarters. It could be Q4 2014 or Q3. Once those assets are written down, the balance sheets are corrected, if you will, and they start making money again and rewarding their shareholders, then it trickles down to us.
Meaning the development companies and the exploration companies.
The microcaps. So you're the microcap guy. You publish a magazine, 4 times a year on Microcap Review magazine, and so you understand this concept of trickle down. It trickles down from the large gold miners to the mid-tier gold miners to the small gold miners to the exploration, microcap exploration. We saw that happen post-economic crisis in 2009. Gold companies started raising money again, and in a quarter it trickled all the way down. So one thing we need is a higher higher commodity prices. I'm not going to predict when that's going to happen. But first, the gold miners got to get their houses in order, I think. Does that make sense?
Not only does it make sense, but you stimulated another question in my mind, and that is little talked about subject, and I'm going to raise the point. When you come to a conference today, whether it's here and there or anywhere, all of a sudden, it's not just Canadian companies. It may have Canadian management, it may have Canadian geos, it may even have Canadian money. But the properties are in Peru. The properties are in Mexico. The properties are even at Sweden, I've seen, and Jakarta, and all over the world. What effect does that have on the market for those microcap companies in North America? The fact that they're offshore, away from Canada and the United States. Good or bad? Does it have more promise that way? Is it just that they're chasing down resources? Your opinion.
The world became the geologist oyster, if you will, in the mid-1990s, early to mid-1990s. Historically, before that, Canadian-based juniors worked first and foremost in Canada, and then they forayed into the United States. We used up the easily found deposits in those venues, and it became more difficult. So then where'd you go? You went to places where geologists had not trod before. That has now matured now. So geologists have trod over most of the earth now. So the latest in our bull market from 03 to 2011, 8-year bull market with a little perturbation in 08, we explored in these countries. It's difficult because your money is not so well spent. You're dealing with foreign cultures. You're dealing with people who are very nationalistic, as we all tend to be. They want to enrich their own country, and that sometimes happens at the expense of junior companies. What you're finding now are people coming back home. I can't tell you how many people have come up to me over the last 3 or 4 months and said, good copper deposits in the southwest U.S. The latest 2 deals I'm working on, without letting cats out of the bag, I'll tell you, I'm looking at a tungsten play in the U.S., I'm looking at a copper play in the U.S. The resource nationalisms come in other countries. At least in the United States, we have security of mineral tenure, and if you got a deposit, you're going to be able to develop it. If for some reason the government or social issues prevent you from developing it, you have to be compensated. It's a taking clause of the Constitution. That doesn't happen in very many countries of the world. So I see people coming back to the good old U.S. of A.
Okay, so now I'm going to wrap it up with this question, and it's an important question. You have in that camera U.S., North American, Canadian investors, and a sprinkling of Australians and the rest of the world.
Sure.
What's your take, and what words of wisdom can you give an investor class that we have in the microcap world who are interested in juniors, exploration, development, even junior miners? Give us your final analysis.
There are opportunities in bear markets that do not present themselves in bull markets. As contrarians, and I am a firm advocate of the idea that you make money in the market by picking stocks that are out of favor, this is the time that we can position ourselves for big money to be made in the future.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mickey Fulp, the Mercenary Geologist, writes a newsletter. What's the newsletter website, by the way? MercenaryGeologist.com. And this interview, the audio portion, will go into the rotation of mercenarygeologist.fm 24/7 streaming radio. It's a mouthful, ladies and gentlemen, but then again, Mickey does give us beautiful tidbits. And he's a speaker at the conference. We're at the Metals and Minerals Investment Conference, San Francisco, 2013. I'm Shelley Crabb. This is SNNLive. Ladies and gentlemen, let me say goodbye to Mickey Fulp. Thanks for coming on.
All right. Thanks a lot,
You got it,
Shelley.
pal.
Always.